Okay.
All right, so I've got photocopies of everything if it's helpful.
Okay.
If you want to use yours, you can.
Yeah, I just copied stuff over, so. But thanks.
And then we've got the model.
Okay.
And then this is the demo kit we have in
Okay.
case you want to use any of that stuff.
Okay. Are you Dr. Studi today or
No,
Mrs.?
I'm the patient.
Miss Studi then?
Whatever you want to call me.
Okay. All right. Well, Miss Studi, today we just did a full evaluation. I know it was a lot of tests today, so we're just going to go over some of them in detail. The first test that we did, we recorded all on here. The audiograms is what we recorded, those beeps that you heard that got softer and softer, and you pressed that button when you heard it. We have the right ear over here and the left ear over here. On the top is what we call the frequency or pitch, and you can kind of think of that like a piano. You have the low end of the piano or the really deep sounding side, and then you have the high pitch sounds of the piano, and that's what these are representing from low to high on both the left and right ears. On this side is the loudness level, so it's how loud we had to make it in order for you to press that button, and in the gray shaded region is what's considered normal hearing. Okay, so you are outside of the normal region. You have in both ears a moderate sloping to severe or profound sensory neural hearing loss, which is why you're wearing your hearing aids now. Those were fit a couple of years ago, and these are just all unaided. This is what we did without your hearing aids here. So showing that you do have quite a bit of loss without your hearing aids. Do you have any questions about this?
No, I mean, I knew my hearing was bad.
Right, and they probably went over all of this when you got your hearing aids before too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay. Well, this was all without your hearing aids, and we wanted to see how well you did with your hearing aids. So that was when you sat in front of the speaker and it started talking at you, and we had you repeat those sentences. And that was just to see how well you did with your hearing aids. So those hearing aids that you have right now are fit to your hearing. So if you remember sitting in front of the computer and it read like a passage to you.
The carrot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know lots about carrots.
Yeah. And the audiologist was adjusting, and you're there for a little bit. So your hearing aids are tailored exactly to your hearing loss here to make sure at your best possible hearing with them. Okay. And so that's what we wanted to see here, how well you did in speech. So we did your left and your right ear, and you really struggled repeating those words back with your hearing aids. And that's kind of, we wanted to see what that was when noise was introduced. And I remember on your case history you said that in all listening situations you really struggle. And so even with when you introduce noise, you really struggled there as well. So with the information that we have today, and knowing about especially your aided with your hearing aids, how well you do, we think that you'd be a great cochlear implant candidate. Have you heard of a cochlear implant before or know anybody that has one?
Well, I came in because I read a newspaper article about someone who was doing really well with them, but I don't know a lot about them.
Okay.
I think I looked at some information online. They said something about needing a surgery for it. So.
Yeah. So a cochlear implant, there's two different types of cochlear implants, but basically the overall function of them is to mimic the inner ear. So your portion of the inner ear is damaged, which is why you have hearing aids. So if you look on here, this is your hearing organ. It's called a cochlea. And you have little sensors in there that when sound comes in, it sends it to the brain. Part of that is damaged, which is why you have hearing aids. Now, hearing aids only amplify sounds. They only make it louder. Cochlear implants tried, like I said, to mimic the parts of the inner ear. So you're right, it does require surgery. And before I go into more detail about the surgery and everything like that, why we think you'd be a good candidate is that you meet the two criteria for it. One is the type of hearing loss you have has to fall somewhat in this shaded region right here, which most of it does. And then the second part of it is how well you do in speech with your hearing aids. And like we said before, it looks like a little bit of a struggle with that. So to meet those 2 criteria, which you do, you'd be a cochlear implant candidate.
Okay. So I have a lot of hearing loss, but the implant's not going to make stuff louder. So how does it work?
So it's an electrical device, medically implanted. So like you said, it does have surgery. So there's a couple portions to it. So on the outside is this portion, and that has a couple microphones, and it works similar to a hearing aid where it captures all the sound in there, okay? And then there's an inside portion right here, and that's just right under the scalp, and that's the part that you have to have surgery for, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a magnet, which just keeps this on the head, and then there's a portion right here, which takes the incoming information from here and converts it into just a different type of information. It's an electrical information.
Mm-hmm.
And then they implant a couple of coils that go right into your hearing organ. So it basically tries to take place of the inner ear, still sending the signals up to the brain rather than just amplifying sounds.
So I'm going to hear by a coil that goes into the ear.
Mm-hmm.
How does it get inside? Like, how does it get from here to there?
How does the sound get from there
Yeah.
to there? So you have a processor right here, and it transfers the sound from the outside to the inside.
How? Is there a hole in my head? Like, it's not going through the ear, right?
No.
There's nothing here.
No, it's going through this portion right here. So it's collecting the sound, and then you have the magnet, and then this portion right here, that processor is taking the information from here to here.
But how does it get to there?
Through through the radio waves. I'm sorry. Yes, through radio waves.
Okay.
So, I know it sounds kind of different.
Yeah.
It is a little bit different. But we've had a lot of people have some success with this rather than your hearing aids. And when we look at the success that you're having with your hearing aids, we just feel that it's not up to the benefit that you would need. And especially because you're very active, and we want you to have the best possible way in order to hear.
So, do you think I'll do as good as the guy in the newspaper? I mean, what can I expect with this thing?
Sure. So everybody's different. People have, in the newspaper, maybe have reported that they do great. Did they say how long he had it for?
Oh, I don't know, 6 months maybe.
6 months, okay. So typically with a cochlear implant, we say that it probably, most likely, you'll see a lot more benefit after a year of use. So I know that seems like a long time. However, I don't know if your clinician told you when you got your hearing aids that it takes a little bit of time for the brain to get adjusted to the sound that you're hearing because it's so different from what you were hearing before. So it's similar to a cochlear implant, just takes a little bit longer. And through that, you wear it for a year and it starts, some people at 6 months, it's great. And some people, at a couple of months, it's great for them as well. It just kind of depends. There are a lot of things that we can do to adjust that timeline or to make it as beneficial as we can for you. So you don't just get the implant and that's it. You come in and what we call for activation after your surgery, and we turn it on for you. And then we make adjustments, just depending. We do a lot of different tests. Then make adjustments tailored to you, just like your hearing aids, just in a different kind of way. And then you come in a couple of months, or a month later, and a couple of months later, and we see you quite a bit for just doing more of the activation things and adjusting your hearing aid. Another side of that, which we really hope patients come to, is what we call oral rehab. And that really helps try to adjust that timeline of where things starting to sound normal or to discuss how your hearing aid is sounding. And that's just where you come in and you meet with a speech pathologist or an audiologist, or both sometimes, and talk about your goals with your cochlear implant. So some of our patients their goals is to have a conversation in a noisy place. Others are to talk on the telephone. And I know that in your case history, you reported that both of those are just been really, really hard for you. And so we work one-on-one to try to find ways for you to get to the point where it's natural for you or a little bit better than your hearing aids or what you're expecting.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly really struggling right now, so I have to admit it's really scary to think that it would take a year to be helpful, but at this point I'm willing to try different things. So what do I need to do?
So we will schedule an appointment with Dr. Kelsall, and he is in Denver, and he's the surgeon that will, if you choose to go through with this, will implant the cochlear implant. Surgery takes, like we call it a soft surgery, so it's an outpatient surgery as well. So it takes like under 2 hours. I think Dr. Kelsall can do it within an hour. Yeah. And when we schedule you, you'll go in 2 weeks prior, and he'll talk to you about the surgery and answer all of your questions about the surgery, anything related to that, and kind of what to expect in that. And then, so that's the first thing you should do if you want to go through with this is set up a meeting with Dr. Kelsall. You'll also have a CT scan. I don't know if you've had one of those before. It's a CAT scan. So it looks at your bones. And so that will just determine if another step in the cochlear implant process, which we'll actually look at this right here, your cochlea. And then we'll move on from there, and like I said, you'll come here back to UNC for your activation, which means we turn it on and adjust from there, and then you come in a month after that, and then 3 months, 6 months, and then a little bit later, once you're used to your cochlear implant, it'll be an annual meeting.
Okay.
So I know it's a lot of information. Do you have any questions about anything? I know we talked about the audiogram, how well you're doing without your hearing, or sorry, not how well, the struggle you're having without your hearing aids, and then the struggle you had with your hearing aids, which, like I said, meets both of the criteria to be candidate for a cochlear implant.
No, I don't think I have any more questions.
Okay.
I can turn your thing off.
Okay.
I'd be so nervous.